Good evening. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Fertility Talk. Tonight we are talking to Adele from FutureGen Lab. Hi, Adele, I see you there. We're just going to give it a couple of minutes for everyone to join us, everyone to get the notifications, and then I will accept. Hi, guys. Thanks, everyone, for joining, everyone coming on board. Thanks, guys. Welcome. We're talking about PGT A testing. It's a topic I really don't have a lot of details about. I don't have too much information, so it's quite a good topic. So I'm going to invite Adele. Adele is the CEO of FutureGen Labs. I'm just going to wait for her to accept. About genetic testing, sorry, PGT A testing. You can put it in the comment section and we can ask Adele. So just waiting for Adele to accept. She's there. Hi, Adele.
How are you?
Good, and how are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Good, good. I know you spoke to us earlier, and you spoke to me earlier, and you said you weren't feeling to 100%, but I'm so glad you're feeling a bit better now, and you just didn't want to disappoint me. So thank you from all the ladies that you're doing this for us, even though you're not 100% at the moment.
No problem.
Thanks. So we're talking about PGTA testing, and like I said, it's not a topic that I've spoken to anybody about yet or anything like that. So it's going to be something quite new to me to discuss. And I hope you guys can see me properly because my light is a bit funny this evening. Yeah, so we're talking about the first question we've got is, but before we go to the question, sorry, if you can just introduce yourself, like where you're from, what it is that you do.
Okay, my name is Adele Kazilsky. I'm the CEO of a company called FutureGen Laboratories, and we primarily are poised in the reproductive sphere in South Africa, and we focus on genetic testing. So we're one little cog in the wheel of assisting somebody through the struggle of infertility.
Okay, great. So what we're going to talk about is PGTA testing. But first of all, what is PGTA testing? What does PGTA testing stand for?
Okay, exactly that, PGTA. So PGTA stands for pre-implantation genetic testing for aneuploidy. And I think the most difficult word here is aneuploidy. Everybody understands pre-implantation and everybody to an extent understands genetic testing. So let's define what aneuploidy means. Aneuploidy refers to an embryo with either an extra or a missing chromosome. So for example, lots of people know about Down syndrome children. They will be born with an extra 21 chromosomes. So we know we've got 22 sets of chromosomes plus the gender set, which determines whether there's a boy or girl. So either you will have an extra chromosome on one of the sets or you will have a missing one, and that's called an aneuploidy. In opposite to that, we have the idea of a euploid. A euploid refers to an embryo that has a normal amount of chromosomes. That's the 22 pairs and the gender one. So pre-implantation genetic testing for aneuploidy means that we are checking the embryo before implantation that it is euploid, meaning it's normal, as opposed to aneuploid, which is abnormal.
Okay. And why is it important to do PGTA testing? Okay.
Well, we all know that a woman is born with a predefined limited amount of eggs in her lifetime, right? Her body will only produce a certain amount of eggs during her reproductive years. And as with anything else, as one ages, so does the quality and the quantity of the eggs diminish, right? So anybody who's trying to conceive a child in their later reproductive years, the chances of her eggs being aneuploidy increases exponentially. So this is definitely a test for those that are wanting to fall pregnant or falling pregnant in their later reproductive years.
Okay. So tell me, who needs to have PGT testing done? I think you
Right.
just
So
touched on it a little bit, but let's
yes.
unpack that a bit.
So statistics have shown that any woman from the age of 36 and older should check their embryos before implantation, because
Yeah,
from the age of 36, it seems statistically that the quality and quantity of her eggs diminish, and the chance of aneuploidy, of having abnormal chromosomes, increases exponentially. So primarily, that is the main case for testing with PGTA. But it could also be that if a woman goes through recurrent miscarriages and she doesn't
yeah,
know why, one of the things that you should rule out is that the cause is not genetic. So
yeah.
somebody who has recurrent miscarriages should also go have the PGTA testing.
Okay, I actually never knew um that would be helpful for someone that's got recurrent miscarriages, because I think that is quite a big thing amongst women that is dealing with infertility, the recurrent miscarriages.
It's not,
So
it's not to say that if you're having recurrent miscarriages,
yes,
the reason that it is genetic, but it is one
yeah,
of the things you should rule out to see
yeah.
that there isn't a genetic reason for the miscarriage. There could be many other reasons.
Yes. So the reason why I'm saying that is that, like last night we do the little support group once a month on a Tuesday, and also when I speak to women, it's always about when they're dealing with miscarriages. It's like the question is why, like what test do I go? Do the doctors don't tell you? Okay, maybe let's go for some doctors would say that, or recommend go for this test and that test, whatever. But it's always like you're always thinking, okay, so I've had the miscarriages. What do I do? What's my next step? Where do I go to? And it's nice to hear like this could be an option. Why not go and have that test done?
Right.
So
So this
thank
this
you for
test,
that.
just to quantify, this test is when they've had recurrent miscarriages. They're now under the care of an IVF lab,
Yes,
and before pre-implantation, they'll check. There is also another test called products of conception,
yes,
which is when we test the actual fetus that has
yes,
unfortunately been aborted. We can look over there to see if there is a genetic
yeah.
reason as to why you had that miscarriage.
Yeah, I think we touched on it in
That's
the last
correct.
talk as well. But I on purposely talk about it because this is, like I said, it's something that comes up all the time. And I don't want to give a percentage, but there's so many women out there that actually deals with it, and they don't know what the next step is with it. So if you are seeing a fertility clinic, and you've gone through all the tests and you haven't done the test, there is this option available. Um, how is the test done? PGTA
Okay,
testing
this is
done?
very important because sometimes we get a lot of anxiety around the moms when they're going through this test. Firstly, you can't come to us to have the test done.
Yeah.
The test is only done and is facilitated by an IVF clinic. So you do have to go to an IVF clinic that will facilitate this test. Okay,
Yeah.
lots of times we get that question. Can we come walk into your lab and have the test? The answer is no. Now,
Yeah.
how is it done? So basically, when the clinic is preparing the mother for implantation, they've fertilized their eggs.
Yeah.
What happens? They will wait until the fifth or sixth day. That is like the best time after fertilization. They will go and do a biopsy. They'll do like a little nick. They'll take a small sample of the cells of that, what they call the blastocyte, which
Yeah.
is not, and I want to make everybody calm, it's not your child, it's not the baby, it is
Yes.
from the cells that would eventually become the placenta.
Yeah.
And they biopsy that, they send a few cells, and they send it off to us. We receive that sample, we extract the DNA, and we test that DNA for chromosomal abnormalities. Generally, the test takes between 5 to 10 working days from the time that we receive the sample from the IVF clinic. And once the testing is completed, we will then send a full report to your doctor, and the doctor then can decide of the embryos that are available for implantation, which ones are best suited for the reimplantation. And basically what the test does is that if we do find aneuploidy, we do find that the embryo has characteristics of an additional chromosome or a lost chromosome, it will indicate to the doctor that's not a good idea to reimplant, because chances are the woman will miscarry. Nature will take its course and the embryo will not develop and they will miscarry. So what's nice about this test is that it stops that anxiety and that horrible, feeling of going through an implantation, hoping that you'll have a baby, and then somewhere down the line, nature's going to take care of it and make you miscarry. So you're choosing before and stopping and reducing the anxiety.
Okay. Would you say it actually would, I like that you said it's going to stop anxiety, but would you also say that it actually saves you money in the long run?
Yes, it does, because
that case.
Correct, because if you don't do it, then nobody knows about the genetic health of the baby, and you might be putting in, and then you've gone through an entire fertilization, you've gone through the miscarriage, you've gone through all the anxiety, all the pain, the money, and then starting all over again. So what IVF labs have been doing is that they are, particularly for women from the age of 36 onwards, or if it's indicated earlier, saying to them, we really suggest you do this test because it will actually lessen the amount of time that you have to go through implantation and trying to carry to full term.
Okay. So the next question is, how much does this test cost? Right. And I want to add to that as well, to that question as well. How do they just go to the IVF clinic and they say, look, we want to go and do this test with FutureGen, or how does it work?
Okay, so let's answer the first part first. How much does this test cost? FutureGen currently is the most affordable genetics laboratory in South Africa for this testing. And we've made it affordable because we want to encourage the patients to go for what we call the test all scenario. So as somebody who goes through IVF knows that, you will be stimulated and they will try to fertilize as many eggs as possible so that you can, have the greatest option as possible. Now, if the test is very expensive and it's per embryo, then it becomes unaffordable to go and test all. Yeah. Our prices are the cheapest in the market in South Africa, and we encourage test them all, because let's say you have now 7 embryos that have the potential to be implanted back. Obviously not all 7 at the same time, but 7 potentials. It's good to go through this test them all, because ordinarily it could be that we're going to say, listen, there's only 3 euploids, meaning there's only 3 normal and there's 4 aneuploidy, which in your mind now, you will know I'm dealing now with 3, not 7. Whereas if you don't go through it, you keep on thinking psychologically in your mind, well, there's the possibility of 7, right? And you don't want to go through that. So the more you test, we've got packages that the more you test, the cheaper per embryo it becomes. So 1 to 3 embryos is one price. Okay, we call that the cherry package. If you have 4 to 7 embryos, it's called the grape package. If you've got 8 or more embryos, then it's called the pomegranate package. The pomegranate package per embryo is the cheapest to go. So if you do have that, some women unfortunately don't produce as much eggs, or the eggs don't survive the fertilization. There's a whole lot of other stuff. Having said that, if you do have more than 8, and it is still expensive, right? And we do have what's called a store and amp facility, where, say you've got 10 embryos, what you will do is you'll pay for 3 to be tested fully, and that will be identified by the embryologist and the doctor at the IVF lab. They'll say, here's 1 to 10, please test 3, 5, and 6. We'll test the 3, 5, and 6, and what we'll do with the other 7 is we will amplify them, means we'll extract the DNA and then we'll store them. We will then give you the results for 3, 5, and 6. If the results are good, then we keep the others, and either for a future pregnancy or for a future time. If it's not, then you can go and say, right, The first three didn't come out right. You know, the results were not great. Go check number now 2, 6, and 9, and we will go and test that. And that minimizes the cost to a certain extent. So that's how much the costs, the test costs. How does it work? When you're at the IVF clinic, you will be guided by the doctors there about this testing. They will give you consent forms and what we call a transfer form to fill in with all your details. And as you go through the process of fertilization and coming to the 5th, 6th day, the embryologist there will do their work. They use a laser machine, send the samples to us, and it'll be part of the process of trying to get to a healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Adele. Maybe if you could just have, if you have a word or two of encouragement for the women that's going through infertility and going through the IVF treatments. Maybe there's something that you can tell them that they don't know.
Well, look, as I said, infertility is a very, very complex subject, and we are not the answer to it all. We are one of the answers and one of the avenues. FutureGen Laboratories was born from the fact that there was a direct and investor in the business that went through infertility themselves, and they recognized how important genetic testing is as part of the process of achieving a healthy child. And that's why we are very, very focused in making it affordable, and it's available here. There's no anxiety in sending it overseas. There's no anxiety of having to break another bank in order to do it.
Yes.
It's here, and it's local, and it's affordable. And I really, really do encourage the women out there to have a voice and to ask their doctors and their clinics about it, because it certainly it's got a 98% accuracy. Again, with anything that you do testing with, we're not God, we cannot be 100%, but it has a 98% accuracy, and it certainly does play a very pivotal role in ensuring that the doctor can assist the woman into having a healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby. And that's what everybody wants. So
exactly. Absolutely. Thank you very, very much, Adele. I really appreciate your time this evening for this test. If anyone wants to get, to talk about PGT A testing, if anyone wants to get hold of Adele, Adele of FutureGen Labs, you can request it from your IVF clinic. Speak to them about it. Say that you've heard about it, and that you'd like to have this done if you are going through IVF, or if you just want any information. I'm sure they're welcome to email you. Do you maybe want to give your details of how they can?
The best is that they go to our website, www.futuregen, as in future generations, FutureGen Labs, one word, .co.za. We have a section on all the different types of genetic testing that we do. And there's also an informative video over there. And from there, you will have the details of contacting us. And also then, we'll be able to refer them to clinics that use our services.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Have a great evening, Adele, and we'll chat soon. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you next week, Wednesday again.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.